This is the Pixel 8 Pro, and you can get it right now in 2026 brand new for about $400. So one of the most common criticisms I hear about Pixel phones is that they are overpriced for what you get. Now, I don't agree with this. I think Pixels are fairly priced considering they don't have the years old camera hardware you get from Samsung flagships, have better software that's supported for longer than Chinese flagships, and well, you know, they aren't iPhones. But if you don't agree with me and think Pixels are too expensive, then this is the phone you should be looking at. Let me tell you why, starting with the cameras. So, one of the biggest things people get nervous about when buying an older phone is that the camera hardware will be outdated. While the Pixel 8 Pro does have weaker camera hardware when compared to the Pixel 10 Pro XL, the two lenses that matter the most are the same. The main lens on the Pixel 8 Pro is the same 50 megapixel shooter as the Pixel 10 Pro phones have, and the telephoto is the same too. The ultra-wide and selfie cameras are downgrades, which is unfortunate, but even then, they are still more than adequate in 2026. To drive this point home, here are some shots from the Pixel 10 Pro XL and the Pixel 8 Pro. As long as you stick to the primary lens and the telephoto, there are only very minor differences between the two. Even the little differences I spot could just be because the lighting slightly changed in the time it took me to put one phone down and take the same shot with the other phone. When you move to ultra-wide shots or selfies though, you start to see more differences. Interestingly, some of the differences don't go as you'd expect. Even though the selfie camera is better on the Pixel 10 Pro XL, at least on paper, I liked some of the selfies better from the Pixel 8 Pro. Ultra-wide shots though are definitely better with the Pixel 10 Pro XL, in my opinion. I'll put a link in the description to all these photos so you can pixel peep if you want. One thing the Pixel 10 series has that the Pixel 8 doesn't is Pixelsnap. This allows you to magnetically snap things onto the back of your phone, like chargers and such. It's a really cool feature that I use all the time on my Pixel 10 Pro. However, the Pixel 8 Pro is capable of doing this if you buy a case that supports it. Since most people buy cases anyway, this problem is easily solved. This case from Grikazo is less than $20 and has Pixelsnap compatible magnets built right in. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to grab this one. With the case on, you can snap things right to the back of the Pixel 8 Pro, such as this magnetic power bank from this video's sponsor, INIU. This is a 10,000 milliamp hour power bank, but you might not believe it because it's a lot thinner than most competitor models. With this case, I mentioned earlier, charging is as simple as snapping it onto the back of the phone. The magnets here are really strong too, so once it's on, you know it's not going anywhere. But what's really cool about this is that the wrist strap you see here is actually a USB-C cable. If you want to charge your phone faster, you can use this cable. Since it's USB-C, it will also charge any of your other compatible gear. However, you can also charge your phone using the magnet and then charge something else at the same time with the cable, which is really useful. I also love how you can see how much juice is left in the INIU magnetic power bank through this light up paw print. I think this is really cute. Oh, and this right here is a built-in kickstand, so you can prop your phone up while it's charging in either portrait or landscape mode. INIU also stands behind their gear, so this comes with a 3-year warranty. If you face any quality issues in 3 years, INIU will send you a new one for free. This is something you almost never see for electronic gear like this. And people absolutely love these chargers. INIU has been the #1 portable power bank bestseller on Amazon since October 2023, if you can believe it. That's because they make quality products that they actually stand behind. To grab this INIU charger for yourself, check the link in the description, and thanks so much to INIU for sponsoring this video. Another thing about the Pixel 8 Pro that has aged really well is the display. The Pixel 8 series were the first Pixels in a while to have mostly flat displays. The display isn't totally flat as there is a subtle curve on each of the 4 sides, but it's certainly way less curvy than what we saw on the Pixel 7 Pro and Pixel 6 Pro phones. I don't know about you, but I love flat displays. If you don't agree, the minimal curves of this display should create a nice happy medium so everyone gets what they want. The display itself is also top-notch. It's an LTPO OLED panel that can go from 1 Hz all the way to 120 Hz. This allows for terrific battery efficiency. It also has a nice QHD Plus resolution with a very high pixel density. In fact, the Pixel 8 Pro's display is technically more pixel dense than the Pixel 10 Pro XL's display. Really, the only thing the Pixel 10 Pro XL has that the Pixel 8 Pro doesn't have when it comes to the screen is brightness. The Pixel 10 Pro XL gets much brighter than the Pixel 8 Pro. However, the brightness of the Pixel 8 is still really good. It's just not quite as bright as what we see with the newer phones. There are actually a few things the Pixel 8 Pro can do that the Pixel 10 phones can't. Here in the United States, the Pixel 10 phones all lack a physical SIM card slot, but the Pixel 8 Pro has one. Personally, I don't mind using eSIM, but I know a lot of people were pretty upset that Google abandoned physical SIM trays with the Pixel 10 models. If that's you, the Pixel 8 Pro solves that problem and saves you a ton of money at the same time. Another thing the Pixel 8 Pro can do that the Pixel 10 series can't is reverse wireless charging, which Google brands as battery share. This allows you to turn your phone into a wireless charging pad. You simply turn the battery share feature on, put your phone face down on a flat surface, and then drop something else onto the back. Now, whatever you drop on it will get charged wirelessly by leeching power from your phone. Since the Pixel 10 series has Pixelsnap built in, Google needed to abandon this feature for its newer phones, but the Pixel 8 Pro still has it. Okay, so some people watching this might be worried about buying a 2-year-old phone because they don't think it will last long enough to make it worth it. Well, Google has got you covered because the Pixel 8 Pro will get security updates and new versions of Android for 7 years from the date it first launched. That means it'll be October 2030 before this phone won't get new software updates. I think getting a flagship phone for $400 and knowing it will get support until 2030 is a pretty sweet deal. And some of you might be worried about the longevity of Tensor G3, the processor inside the Pixel 8 Pro. Well, I've been using this phone pretty heavily over the past week and I haven't had any problems. I'm sure Tensor G5 is faster because benchmarks will tell you that, but in real world usage, Tensor G3 has been great for everything I do. Granted, if you're a heavy gamer who relies on getting the maximum number of frames that you can, this probably isn't going to work out for you long term. But I played a bunch of Genshin Impact on the Pixel 8 Pro and Tensor G3 was just fine. If you're a typical user who checks email, sends texts, watches YouTube, takes photos, and all the other things normal people do, you will have absolutely no problem with Tensor G3. And you will continue to have no problems with it for years to come. If you need proof of that, just look at the Pixel 6 series, which is even older than this one. Those phones are still going strong and will even get Android 17 later this year. Other common concerns for the Pixel 8 series are battery longevity and heat. Since the Pixel 8 Pro is 2 years old, it's true that the battery might need to be replaced sooner than if you were to buy a more recent phone. However, you'll still almost certainly get a few years out of it before you need to replace anything, considering it's still a brand new phone. And even if you do need to replace the battery down the line, you'll still have spent less than you would have on a newer phone, since you only paid $400 for the phone itself. As for the heating issues I see discussed online, I have zero experience with that. I used this phone as my daily driver for a year when it first came out, and only saw it get warm when I was using wireless Android Auto. This week, I haven't had any heat issues with it at all, so I don't really know where the overheating claims come from. I'm not saying they don't exist, but I am saying I haven't experienced them. If those are all non-issues, what are the actual downsides of going with the Pixel 8 Pro in 2026? For me, personally, the biggest downside is the fingerprint sensor. In the Pixel 9 and Pixel 10 series phones, you'll find an ultrasonic sensor, but in the Pixel 8 series, Google is still using optical sensors. If you don't know why this is bad, it basically means that the Pixel 8 Pro's in-display fingerprint reader relies on light to scan your finger. This is slower than modern phones which use sound waves instead. Not only is it slower, but it also gets really bright, so when you scan your finger in a dark room, it can be pretty obnoxious. This is something that will never change for the Pixel 8 Pro, and is probably my biggest quality of life issue with it. There are other things that make the Pixel 8 Pro less desirable, but they're pretty minor. The battery in the Pixel 10 Pro XL is slightly larger than the one in the Pixel 8 Pro, but only by about 3%, so not too much of a difference there when it comes to real-life results. The Pixel 8 Pro also charges slightly slower, both wired and wirelessly, but once again, only by a small amount. The data transfer speeds of the Pixel 8 Pro are also slightly slower than the Pixel 10 Pro XL. Finally, the Pixel 8 Pro has a top limit of 12 gigabytes of RAM. This is less than the Pixel 10 Pro XL, which has 16 gigabytes of RAM. If you're wondering why this would be a problem, the answer is AI. On-device AI tasks eat up a lot of RAM, so the Pixel 8 Pro not having as much means it will inevitably not be able to do some of the things that newer Pixels can. Even today, there are some features the Pixel 10 phones have that the Pixel 8 Pro doesn't, including access to the Pixel Screenshots app, access to the Magic Q feature, and certain camera features like Super Res Zoom for 100x shots. There will also likely be features in the future that come to new Pixels that won't come to the Pixel 8 Pro. Still, it's hard to complain about these things when you're getting this phone for $400. That's less than you'd spend on a Pixel 9a, which is Google's cheapest phone that's still in production and is woefully behind when you compare its specs to the Pixel 8 Pro. Even when you factor in taxes, the Gricazo case I showed you, and the INIU portable charger, you'll still spend less than buying a Pixel 9a brand new. If you're looking to join Team Pixel but don't want to spend a ton of cash, the Pixel 8 Pro is the sweet spot. You won't need to break the bank, but you'll still get a terrific phone with amazing cameras, a gorgeous display, and years of software support still ahead of it. But I want to know what you think. Are you going to buy the Pixel 8 Pro in 2026? Are you still using the phone after buying it when it came out? Jump down in the comments and let me know your thoughts. Before you go, don't forget to like and subscribe so you know when I post my next video. And be sure not to miss this video here, where I go over my favorite non-Pixel phones from 2025. I'll see you all down in the comments.